Welcome to the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. We're going to explore ways to sharpen our diagnostic skills, find learning resources, and hear from experts in the automotive field. Hey, what's going on, automotive world? Welcome to another episode of the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. My name is Sean Tipping. I'll be your host once again for this week's episode. Joining me on the show is Tomi Oliva, the used module king. He's been on the show before. Always great to get to talk to Tomi, especially when he's sharing some of his vast knowledge of the automotive world. And that's what's going to be happening today. Today, we're going to be talking about module programming equipment. This specifically pertains to aftermarket equipment, right? So not the factory stuff. We talk a lot about EEPROM. Some of the stuff isn't necessarily EEPROM, some of it is, but we're talking about like cloning modules, the equipment necessary for used module. If you're putting a used module in a vehicle, how do we make it work? And I've talked about some of these tools in the past on the podcast. I've had other people on like Pedro and Mike and their EEPROM class. And this is really where that centers around, is what tools are out there? What are our favorite tools? What's some entry level stuff? What are the big guns? If you're spending a lot of money, and then when do you invest or get into this? At what level? When does it make sense? What makes sense for you? How do you determine that? So we're going to talk about some tools. We're going to talk about the reasons why you might get into this and more. So as always, enjoy talking to Tomi. Hopefully you will as well. With that out of the way, let's jump in. I got some new headphones because I had been using the stupid earbuds forever. I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing? I
thought you stole them from your kid's PlayStation, bro.
Yeah, I know. That's what they look like.
You stole Papa Smurf's headphones.
They only had one color.
He looks like a broke ass Shaun White.
Oh man, that's perfect.
What's up, man?
Oh, not much. I am so glad that it's Friday. It's been a hell of a week. It's like everybody took Monday off, and then the rest of the week went nuts, and everybody needed it. I need it now before Friday.
Everybody wants to close their books. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not my problem.
Right. But it's been a good year. I'm wrapping up the year myself, and definitely happy with how it went. It's been a lot of work because I went out on my own in May, so it's a good chunk of the year full time, and
awesome.
I'm doing well. So what about you?
I don't know, man. I feel like I take 3 steps forward and then 5 backwards, but I'm not bad. I'm still debating on what to do, but I'm blessed. I'm busy. The module stuff is keeping me pretty happy, pretty occupied.
Okay.
The shop. I more I do it, the more I realize I really just don't like being in a shop anymore. Like I do, but I guess I just don't like being in my shop anymore, man. So I built I don't know if you can see, I built an office in my house because I had so much R&D work that I wanted to do, man. But I'm sitting at the shop. I would get there at 5 and 5. No, I'd get up at 5. So I get there at 6 and some change. That way I can keep, we open at 9. So I figured, screw it. I got a couple hours and I can just, do some board work and practice and just, play around. But no, I'd be knee deep in diag, so I'd get there and be like, man, I gotta figure this car out. Mm-hmm. So I just found myself waking up early just to do diags, and I'm just like, you know what, man, I don't want to do this. So I decided to, and then plus, obviously, travel time in Chicago isn't that great, so I lose time there. So I figured, you know what, man, I'm gonna build a little office in the basement. I don't have a lot of space, but I made it work, and I'm just gonna buy some doubles of some equipment, and I'm just gonna go be able to play at home. I like play around at home instead of being on my damn PlayStation.
So it kind of makes a separation between all the stuff that pulls you away at work.
Yep.
And okay, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, man. I'm really happy I did it. I brought like half. I was, and I'm glad this is a funny topic for me this week because I actually brought home like half of my programmers.
Okay.
I brought home half of them, but I think I left the big boy at the shop. But I brought like, for example, my Hexprog. I brought some VVDI. Actually, I brought home the tablet, and I'm gonna leave my VVDI stuff at the shop, like proggy and the rest of it. MB. What the hell else? VVDI 2. I brought home the VVDI stupid big ass tablet. I brought home my Hexprog setup. I brought home all my CGDI stuff, my FC200, my MB. And I left at work my Flex and my ACDP, and yeah, like I said, the rest of my VVDI stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, I split them off so that way, no matter where I'm at, I'm pretty much covered unless I'm doing something specialty. Then I'll move the stuff around if I have to.
Sure. I mean, I know doing mobile, there's just stuff that makes sense to leave at home. Like I don't even bother bringing certain things with me because I know I'm gonna want to do it at home on a bench, good lighting, all that stuff. So I don't
that
bother.
shit. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not. There's no way I'm gonna be doing it. It's like my fat ass isn't going in the back of my MV200 to try to do some board work. No, man, you gotta wait, bro.
Yeah,
I'm taking it home or taking it to the shop.
Yeah.
So.
And there's something to be said to be like just hanging out in your underwear, working on a module, and it's much more peaceful than in a work environment. So
yeah, I can just turn off my damn phone and then just get to work instead of like, hey, how much are you charging for some brakes? I got my own brakes. I'm just like,
Yep, exactly.
And it's funny that we're talking about so what is this? A module shootout, like a comparison or?
Yeah.
What to get, what to buy.
Programmer comparison, review, or just our personal opinions on some of them.
Yes, sir. Right now, as it sits, out of all the ones you have, which is your favorite one?
I definitely think that changes, as time progresses. Right now, boy, I've been the most impressed with the ACDP for what it can do for the price. I didn't expect as much from it as it's been able to do. I guess I should say that. So I don't know if that makes it my favorite because it really depends on what I'm doing. But I keep coming back to that thing. I'm like, oh wow, it did that really simply and well, and all the adapters that they have for it. Yeah, you got to buy them all, but man, does that make it slick to connect to modules easily. I like that.
That little bastard ass tool, man, has been one of my favorites, and I got mine's cheap. I think I have like I don't know, like I may not be lucky for a lot of things, man, but I am lucky sometimes sourcing tools, man. I ended up paying maybe like $300 under retail for the set I bought off of some guy in like outside of Philly or something. Okay. And then I just added on modules, man. Like I would see a sale sometimes, I would just buy a module. Probably not even going to use it, but I bought them. So I have pretty much all of them except some of the newer ones that came out this year. Okay. But for the most part, I have, some of the adapters for like, some of the set that I bought it was basically all BMW. Mm-hmm. So I bought all the complimentary modules and the board ones. I have the Jaguar KVM one, JLR one. I have all the ZF adapters, except for a new one that I just found out about, so I got to get that one. Okay. I also have like the BMW Key Renew one for some damn reason. I bought it. I don't even know why. I have the one that I've been looking at would be like the MB refresh one, like for the modules. Oh, but okay. I mean, fuck, I have CGDI, VVDI. Yeah. Auto. That's the thing is when you have 2 or 3 tools that do the same job, you're like, oh, do I really need another one? Of course, I do. I'm finding I like to have at least 2 tools that do the same job in case one of them doesn't work for one reason or another. Yes. 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, man, when it comes to some of this module stuff, man, there's no service information, man. There's shit. You're on your own, and based on other people's experiences. So it's for me, man, like, I'm really torn, like, because like if I'm talking about a specific module cloning tool, I still think like how much money I made versus what it cost me. I think Hexprog is so far my favorite. I mean,
okay.
What I don't like about it is that it's like some of the stuff works well. Like, I mean, some of the modules you can do on the bench works very well. FRM repair is amazing. The price point, I mean, it's $750 right now. I mean, right now I think it's like $700. But then you have what's it called? Then you have
the subscription.
The subscription, which it's a little weird, but I think I get it. It's like $1,100 for year one, and then it's $300 after that.
Okay.
Yearly. So it's not. It's that nice price point, because like I was talking to a friend of mine today. Like, I don't really like tools that you don't pay for updates, because it usually means they don't have an objective to update shit. So what you see is what you get.
Sure.
I'm not saying that's true, but yeah, that's kind of what I don't like.
Right. There'll be some support for the tool ongoing if they're putting out updates for it continually.
So I mean, now some of the stuff that it does, you have to put in some work. Like, you have to remove chips and you have to move them around, add resistors and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then when you start getting into like the big boys like Flex and K-Tag, I mean, they do stuff, they do it well, and it's a lot easier. But now you're in the big bucks territory.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is how much money do you want to dedicate towards this, and are you going to get your return on investment? I think it's all dependent on how much of it you're doing and how much of it you're willing or able to seek out, right? Like, can I get that market local to me and talk to all the shops and start doing this stuff? And then, yeah, maybe it makes sense for a Flex, but if you're going to do a module every 6 months, that's hard to make that.
Yeah, especially if and it also depends on what you're seeing in your market. If all you see is a bunch of American crap in your area, then it's pointless. There's so many other tools you can get that can fill the gaps that what you can't get away with factory programming. But like at least, I don't know, you have Magic, right? You have Flex?
Yep. Yes, I do.
What do you think about it? What do you like about it?
It's awesome. I probably haven't. Well, I know I haven't used it to its full potential yet. But more and more all the time. Lots of BMW for whatever reason. I've been getting a ton of that. I just did a DME for an N20. What was it? 17.2.9. I did that last night with Flex.
Nice.
And it was
easy,
smooth, easy.
So I'm glad you brought that one up. The 7 that one is that's the N20 module, right? Like the one that has a. All right. So I did one a couple weeks ago. So I did it with various tools, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see which one's easier. Not for nothing, the Hex one for me was easier because I bought the bench adapter for it. So it's just plug into the tool, and that's it. You're done. Read and write.
So that was actually, I was doing the same thing. I think I sent a screenshot last night saying, hey, it was something about the ISN, and that was with ACDP, and that one was actually easier because it had the adapter.
Correct.
You just go right on to
holy
the connectors.
Shit, man! I think it's like what, 10 or 11 cables or something like that you have to hook up with Flex.
Yeah, exactly.
But at least you don't have to open it. No matter which tool, those things are not fun to open.
Right.
So ACDP, I don't have that plate because I was actually the project that I was doing was kind of interesting. Hopefully, I'll talk about it in the future, but we're not done with it yet. The project that I'm doing, that's really what I wanted to use, because one thing I do hate about ACDP is, or at least maybe it's me, I need to talk to somebody who knows the tool a little bit more than I do. I didn't like the fact that I couldn't, like, I read the file with Flex, but I couldn't figure out how to import it, because ACDP, what it does have is a checksum calculation for that module, but you have to read it with the module. And I would have had to buy the stupid ass adapters for ACDP, and they were like $120. And then, of course, a week out, I'm like, nah, man, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So I just read it with Hex, and Hex, boom, ISN, but it didn't have an ISN editor, which is what I needed at the time.
Sure.
So ACDP supposedly was able to correct the VIN and the ISN. Supposedly, I don't know if it works or not. I was really interested to find out.
Yeah, I didn't do it on that module. I did on a different BMW. I don't recall the number right off the top of my head, but that ISN editor does function, at least on the one that I tried.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've played. The most important one that I've done was the MSV80, which I bought one of the little BDM boards for.
Mm-hmm.
Now you don't even need that. They have another module that just connects straight to bench. And I went and I said, screw it, I just used Hex, did what I had to do, figured out how to get the calculation done, and I was like, I was like, fuck, man, I don't feel like paying $120, but going back, I think I'm just gonna order them just to have them, to see if it would have done what I needed done.
Okay. So I don't own Hex. I never did purchase it. Is it mainly engine computer stuff, or is it beyond that too?
Yeah, it's a little programmer. It has all the files to repair the footwell modules for BMWs, Mini Coopers.
Okay.
Yeah, it does some trucks. It's like I consider it like a less advanced version of Flex, honestly, but man, for the price, dude, I mean, it does a lot. I mean, that was the tool I had for about a year or so when I was doing modules, and honestly, like, there wasn't really anything that I wasn't able to do. The only problem is, again, it's like I made this comparison to somebody, right? Like in this type of game, there's tools. Like we come from flat rate life, right? Like tools, like you could make the argument that if you buy a $900 impact from Milwaukee, that it won't make you they won't pay you more for buying the tool, but if it helps you get the job done faster, then that's how the tool pays for itself. And that's kind of how it was. Like, a Sim2 K341 module, it's basically just 3 boot pins with Flex. You crack it open, three pins on the BDM frame, and bam, we're done. With Hex, it's like, yeah, you can do it, but you need to remove this, and you need to add 3 resistors here and there, and like it's more time.
Sure.
So that's kind of how I've looked at programmers.
Okay.
And like, do you have the new Kess 3?
I don't.
Yeah, I've been on the fence. I want it, but I don't know if I need it.
Yeah, I haven't run into the necessity to have it, but I hear it's a pretty good tool.
Yeah, I mean, as Alien Tech makes some great stuff, man. But they at the time I went with Flex because I'm in Chicago, man. We use modules and more of my shit, and their ZF cloning is second to none at this point.
Mm-hmm.
ACDP was what I used previous to that, but it's quite cumbersome. I don't like it too much.
Okay.
It's a little uncomfortable, and then the cord is like fucking a foot long, so you kind of just have to do this and one of these shits,
right,
figure eight, and it's easy when the transmission is on the bench, but when it's on the car, like some of the Grand Cherokee, the Charger is a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. Do you use your phone to interface with it?
I have a tablet that I put it on.
Okay, that's smart, because I did it on my phone, and people are calling me while I'm trying to use it.
Yeah, no.
So.
No. Besides, I mean, honestly, like, it's not a hard install, but it really was a pain in the ass to get it to work on my PC. That's where I've mainly used it. It's synced up to my PC right now. That's where I like to use it, actually.
Sure.
You use it on your damn phone, man, and then especially if you have an Android phone, it floods all your pictures with the downloads and stuff like that. But the new version, I think, it separates them into to a different folder. So I might put it. I've been thinking about putting it on my work phone, but I mean, like I said, I have an Android tablet with it,
Okay. I wonder if you put it on an iPad. So I have an iPad.
Oh, so with iOS, it works perfect. There's
Okay.
it actually works a lot easier with Apple stuff.
Yeah, well, because that's my phone is an iPhone, and it works slick, except for when people are trying to call me when I'm in the middle of using it. So maybe I'll move it over to the tablet. Actually, I just started using an iPad for work. I got one, and man, I should have done that a long time ago for wiring diagrams and stuff like that.
I use that. I didn't like the tablet. I played with Pedro's rugged tablet. I didn't like it. I don't know. I just didn't. I didn't feel like it's something I would enjoy doing every day. So
okay.
I don't do a lot of mobile diag anymore, so I really don't care. But yeah, that's actually why I had the tablet and for YTech.
Sure.
It was pretty cool using it that way, I think. Or you can use your damn phone.
So where do you think somebody would be best starting off if they want to get into this sort of stuff?
So personally, man, I think you need to realize what are you getting, because your market in buttfuck Ohio is not the same as mine's New York, Florida. So I think it's if you're trying to get into module cloning or whatever, you need to research what you haven't been able to do. Like a lot of our friends in the industry, I've told them, like, hey man, don't say no. Just tell them you need a few days with it. Ship it to me. I'll do it for you. You know, you make a couple bucks, give me whatever, and then just as long as you generate the business, and then you go back a couple. Let's say we do it for a year. You go back and you'll be like, yeah, I did a bunch of GM stuff. I did a bunch of this. Okay, so then now what's the best bang for my buck right now? At least that's my opinion. Because then you can buy overall. The one thing I really kind of regret, man, and I mean, I caught some slack for this, but I don't give a shit. I spent a lot of money buying cheap ass tools, man. I mean, I spent a fucking fortune on a bunch of cheap ass fucking tools, and I just ended up just upgrading. So my thing is, like, do your due diligence and make sure you research your market and go from there. Am I telling you to buy Flex off the top? No, I'd never say that. But depending on what you're gonna see, you can buy as you go. You can go start off small. Like I said, I think overall, my winner for somebody who doesn't want to spend too much money has to be ACDP. Because of its versatility. Because even though Hex is a great tool and I like it, it doesn't do keys or
sure.
It does now do global A modules, from what I was told. I haven't used it to see if it works or not. I'm probably gonna play with it at one point.
Okay.
Just to, I don't know, for fucking shits and giggles.
Yeah, but I haven't tried it for that either yet. Do you think? So let's say somebody wanted to do this. They wanted to. Okay, I want to try to tackle a certain brand, maybe BMWs or something like that. Does it make sense for them to get the factory tool for whatever they're going for before they jump in this way? I mean,
That's a great question, and I'll answer that question. It depends on your market.
Okay.
And the reason why is because, what do they call me, man? They call me the damn used module king.
Okay.
And do you know how I got that name?
I imagine you've done a few used modules.
Fucking Keith Perkins in the middle of the class.
Oh, okay.
I was sitting in the class and he said something. I'm like, nah, man, that's not, blah, blah, blah. He's like, hey, man, this is Tommy. He's a used module king. I'm like, he's like, most of my stuff is new. So he's in Tulsa. So for the most part, most of the stuff he's done is new. Most of the shit I did was used. Mainly because 90% of the modules I installed or programmed were swap Gnostics. So I had to kind of learn how to do that first. Now that my market's a little bit different and I service different types of shop that cater to different clientele, I've gotten more into new stuff.
Okay.
So if you're in a BMW shop, I mean, it would make zero sense not to have the factory tool. Just know its limitations. You know that if you're not doing a brand new N20 module, then you're not, it's a paperweight. there's nothing you can do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously BMW won't even, if you take, let's say for example, if you put a different motor in your car and it has values in that engine control module, so even if you try playing with that, you'll get error codes, you get all types of stuff. So BMWs do not play when you change their hardware and their software. So that's why it's very important to know your market and know what you're getting yourself into before you start investing in tools.
Sure. Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I mean,
a tool that I have a love-hating relationship with would be the Auto, the IM series.
Okay. What's the love? What's the hate?
My love for it is, it's also like a must-have in anybody's arsenal. It's just so versatile. It's a key programmer, pin puller. It's you sit down and you couple it with the XP400. Now you have a key programmer. Then you have a cloning. Then you have an MCU reading tool. The EEPROM functionality of the tool are marginal. Yeah, but it can do some stuff. I mean, it'll read EISs. It'll read WCMs. Like there's a lot. There's a lot it does do. I mean, shit. It even has. You can even copy a SEM module off a Range Rover. Yep. I don't like how they do it, but it can still get it done. Mm-hmm. So that's also a very important tool, but its main focus is keys. My hate for the tool is that it pretty much nuked locksmith markets. Like we basically shot ourselves in the foot because I have one that has a lifetime updates, and yeah, they cornered the market, man. And now because it's so easy to do keys now with this tool, mm-hmm. everybody's doing keys. So now people, so that's why I'm pretty confident that I don't do as many keys because I just refuse to compete. So that's my hate with the tool.
Oh, I totally understand that because it does really hold your hand through so much of the key stuff. It's just like clicking buttons, and you don't really have to know a whole lot much else.
Man, I started keys. So when I started with keys, it was probably like around 12, 13. I didn't copy them or anything like that. I would program them because, you place the module, you need to program keys, blah, blah, blah. And that tool was absolutely trash at the beginning. I had my first key machine was a stupid $65 AliExpress special that was a clone of, I forgot the name of the tool that it cloned. It cloned one of the big boy locksmith tools at the time, and yeah, that thing was a beast, man, for the price. I mean, it just didn't. It would do the functions, but it just wouldn't it wouldn't pull any pins. It wouldn't do any calculations. Nothing. It was just a straight up key programmer. So then I had to learn how to get around, how to find pins, where to get them. And it was all a learning process. There wasn't Facebook back then, so I just kind of had to figure this thing out on my own. Mm-hmm. At the time, the tool was Advanced Diagnostics cornered the market, man. Their tools were like second to none. But man, have you ever actually used one, like one of those old Zedful tools or TMP Pro Code, whatever the fuck they were called? Jesus,
I've seen them online. I've never used one.
They weren't hard to use, but shit, dude, like they were like fucking expensive, and you had to pay every time you used it. It was like $30.
Tokens or whatever.
Yeah, it was token based. You bought tokens ahead of time, loaded it, and then you went off. You did your key jobs or whatever. But yeah, now it's like everything's in the palm of your hands. Everybody's a locksmith now, running around with a dolphin like me.
Yeah, that's what I got too. So,
hey man, I love my little dolphin.
Yeah, no, that thing kicks ass. And bounces around in the van and does a fantastic job. So,
for what it's worth, what you're gonna make off of keys now, anyway.
Right. Yeah, I've been lucky where I'm at. It's not as saturated. A lot of the locksmiths around here don't even have interest in automotive side of things. They're more focused towards homes and whatever else they do. But key's been good for me. But I could see if you're in a big city and you got a bunch of people just scraping the bottom of the barrel, that's gonna be like you say, pointless to even compete with or try to compete with because you're not gonna make any money.
No. I mean, you can make money. It's just like, do you really want to make money like that? And that's personal choice. I mean, I don't care. I just don't.
Right.
I don't want to. I don't want to partake in that.
Yeah. It was somebody calls me, and somebody's quoting them like $40-$50 to do a key. Of course, it depends on what we're talking about, but it does not even make sense for me to drive to that shop to do that job, even if it like exactly. I could go to something else.
But for somebody who doesn't know how to do anything else, then $40-$50
yep.
for 10 minutes of work.
Sure.
So that's kind of why they do it. At least I think. I don't know.
Okay.
But in terms of like of ROI, do you know the I think it's 3 times the purchase. I think that is like I wish Dutch was here, but he would be able to tell me what the ROI is for a tool, and I think he said it's 3 times the investment.
Yeah, within a certain
over a 12-month period.
Right. That was the thing, was the time frame. I didn't know if that was 1 or 2 years.
I thought it was a year. I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
Because trust me, man, I'm not that great of a businessman. I wish somebody would pay me a couple $100K to just sit there and do research and brick shit, man. I sell everything. I said, peace out. I'm done. Because, man, I hate people. I hate dealing with customers. It's not fun.
Yeah.
So let's just say, for example, if it's true, right? If it's 3 times the cost, then that means if you buy a Flex, let's just say Flex full retail for the entire kit is like $7K roughly. Mm-hmm. No, more than that. No, I went down, but let's just say 7 for shits and giggles and make math easier because I'm stupid. So what? 7 times 3 is what? 21.
21, yeah.
So basically, you need to make $20K off of it, and over a certain amount of time. I'll tell you right now, I use it, and I don't think I've made that much. The tool has paid for itself. That's how I've gauged my ROI. How many times has this tool paid for itself? Mm-hmm. Right, and that's why when I started, I said Hex was the one, because for the most part, my cloning jobs are between $275 to $350, depending on the complexity of the module. Yeah, and also I have the Do You tax.
What's that?
Do you need it as bad as you think you do? Because if it's like one of these expensive modules, like if it's like the N20, like that one, man, yeah, I charged the guy $400 one time for one of those, because that module's $2,800 roughly. Yep. So it's like, hey, man, like if you're gonna save money, I gotta charge you more. Mm-hmm. If it's E69 GM PCM, that flagship one, are selling for 2 for $1, whatever the hell they're selling them for, then no, I mean, obviously you have to go down on your price, but I mean, I think minimum in a cloning job should be $275.
Yeah,
at the bare minimum.
Well, especially if, like you say, that module's really expensive new, or it's not available, right? And you know that this is their only option. And on top of it, the dealer tells them they can't do a use. You get all those things working in your favor, and that's an easy number to get for a job like that.
You're telling me, man. So I had one of my funniest stories is I have a body shop, and they're a pretty good shop, but one of the partners is kind of a jackass. So he calls me, and so actually he calls me in for a body module or whatever. I'm knocking it out. He's like, hey, man, my friend has this Jaguar. We're going to buy a cluster. How much would you charge me to do it? I'm like, what year is it? Like a 2002. It was like old legacy Jaguar. I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, I think I quoted him like $500. Because the only tool that will do it is Blue Box, or if you just so happen to have the old legacy STD, which it's out there, but it's not easy to get to, and then you still need a VCM1, or I guess basically what it is that it's not an easy job to do. But I have a Blue Box, I can do it. So I'm like, yeah, man. But I was like, I ain't gonna be cheap, home slice. I think I told him like $500 or $600. I told him some high ass number to do it. He's like, man, that's crazy. I'm like, dude, it's a 20-year-old Jaguar. What do you want me to tell you? He's like, oh, man, I'll just take it to Jaguar then for that. It's easy. It's cheaper to tow it there, have him do it, and I can tow it back and still be under $500. He told me just like that. So, of course, helpful Tommy said, "You know what, man? You're right, sir. You know, go right ahead. You're right. They're a lot cheaper than I am, for sure." She's like, "Were you thought I was gonna be cheaper than the dealer or something?" He's like, "No, man. I'm better than the dealer." He's like, "How are you gonna be better than the Jaguar dealer?" I'm like, "Well, you're gonna find out." So I went back to do my BCM, whatever. A week later, a week went by. The guy that I actually like talking to, the other owner, is like, "Hey, man," he's like, "What's up with this damn Jaguar?" I said, "What about it, man?" He's like, "You can do the cluster on this?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, he stood quiet, and you hear him. He's like, "Why the hell didn't you just give it to Tommy?" He's like, I'm like, "What?" He said I was too expensive. He said the dealer was cheaper. He's like, "Can you believe these fucking cocksuckers at Jaguar? They told me they can do it. We towed it to them. They charged us an hour, like $200 to tell us that they can't do it, and then we had to tow it back." He's like, "What the hell?" I said, "Dude, I told him, man. I mean, shit, it is what it is, man. The tool isn't cheap, man. So I have to make my money off of it, man. If not, there's no point."
Sure.
He's like, "So if you knew they weren't going to be able to do it, why didn't you tell them?" And he wasn't like, yelling at me. He was just like, "Why didn't you just tell them, man? So they couldn't do it." I'm like, sometimes, sir, lessons you got to learn on your own.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if he wouldn't have been such a jackass, I would have happily told him, "Hey, man, make sure they know it's this, because they're not going to be able to do it. They don't support the tool anymore. The new program does not support this vehicle. I've been through this already, blah, blah, blah." So I don't know. Right now that you were telling me that, I remember, I remember that day. It was a great day. And, yeah, man, I mean, there's a big rise in people like needing module services and wanting to do them. And, it's just like anything, man. Do your research, ask around. I'm usually an open book, except for like my own trade secrets. Sorry, you can find out on your own, but for the most part, I generally help out a lot of our industry peers when I can.
Yeah, well, you've helped me out a ton too, and I appreciate that. But yeah, I get it. If you work really hard to figure something out or be able to do something, and you put a lot of time into it, it's not something that you just want to hand out for free to everybody. I 100% understand that, because I've had some of that myself, where I'm like, "Oh, this is a ton of effort to figure this out."
Hours and hours of research and playing around, and that's why I'm so happy with my setup here, man. Because it's just so much quieter, man. I toss on a movie or some music, tell the wife leave me the hell alone, and I just go at it, man. It doesn't even seem like work.
Yeah. Well, that is the other thing, is I think you have to really have a passion for doing that side of things. Otherwise, I don't know, it would probably just be monotonous and too much if you weren't into it. If you weren't like, "Wow, this is cool." That's what keeps driving me, because I actually have fun doing it.
Dude, I tell everybody, man, I'm so blessed. I love what I do. I hate people, I really do, but I actually really, I don't even wake up in the morning like, "Oh, today's gonna suck." Nah, man. Even that, I know I'm gonna have like that night, not that great of a day. I truly enjoy this. The rat race, the learning. Like, dude, like, I came from selling used tires, man, and now I'm like repairing modules and doing this. Shit, man, I fixed my DOIP device. The
really?
USB connector was kind of janky, so I said, "Screw it, I'm gonna fix it."
Sure.
So it's wonderful, the opportunities that have been presented to me, man. So that's why it's like Dutch says, man. You have to pay it forward, and make sure we leave this industry a better place than we found it.
Yeah, it's funny. There's it's like a blurry line of where, okay, am I helping people out, or am I giving too much away for free? And then in the way that you do it, I think is important. Like, are you just putting it out there on YouTube or Facebook for likes, or are you specifically helping out some people who are working hard in the industry as professionals? And like, why are you sharing this information? I think for me personally, I've been asking myself that lately. Okay, am I doing this to genuinely help someone out, or am I trying to impress people with my fancy whatever I did? Right.
Yeah.
And trying to stay away from the latter.
I just, like I piss people off all the time, man, with my comments, and like, I hate YouTube. I don't hate YouTube. I hate, like, anything, man. Like, anything can be used good or bad. Like, part of Trained by Techs, and we've tried to use it to do some good in the industry, and it's not a bad thing. It's just like, I feel certain things need to stay within us to better our industry, and like, knowledge needs to be earned. Like if Sean does, if you figure out how to, I don't know, crack some BMW module, right? You spent hours on it, and you want to put that shit on YouTube, bro, go right ahead. 100%. I don't give a flying fuck. But if you show me how to do it, and then I go and toss it on YouTube because I want likes, man, I've said this to people's faces, dude. I got a problem with that, because at that point, it's just, for me, it's about respect. 100%. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to change my mind. And I know we've had these conversations in some of the chat groups, and some people don't like it. But, hey, man, I mean, for the most part, I've never been disrespectful about my commentary. So I'm just going to keep saying my opinion. My opinion is that, man, things are earned, and there's a sort of respect, and it needs to happen. And with this module cloning stuff, man, people really don't realize, man, that the OEs don't want us doing this shit. There's a reason why these modules are becoming harder and harder, and they're getting more difficult. Now these modules are coming with one type right MCUs. Now you got to replace an MCU if you want to clone it, or if you want to do anything to it. So it's kind of like, well, one of the reasons between that is just, it's a cat and mouse game, man. They really don't want us fixing their shit. They want you going back to them. But in the business standpoint, I understand it. But as like a consumer, as a person, dude, there is not enough technicians or dealers to fix all these pieces of shit on the road today.
Right.
So they screwed themselves, man. How many cars are sitting at the dealers right now waiting for JPEG modules? They're finally coming back into inventory, but dude, there was like a 9-month wait on them for a bit. Yeah.
There's a lot of Ford Focuses sitting around there.
Dude, did you know at one point, bro, there was 95,000 on back order?
I don't know what it's at now, but I know they're still not getting new ones. I get calls all the time. That's another one.
I hate doing those. I hate doing those because they all get them from Chang Wang on eBay.
Yeah.
So even after I tell them, bro, if this doesn't work, you're still paying me.
I tell them, you better get 4 of them, and one might work if you're ordering them off of eBay or Amazon.
I'm charging you for each and every one of them, bro, because I'm not wasting my time to help you or help this customer. This piece of shit should be in the junkyard. Fuck it.
Well, and
do humanity a favor.
Another 1 out of 4 times the transmission is the problem too.
Oh yeah, the misdiagnosis is so rampant with that hunk of junk.
Yeah.
That transmission was it's totally a bad design.
It's awful. Mike Christofferson though gave me the tip, so I want to give him credit. Flex is really good for those when you get a Fiesta in a Focus or a Focus in a Fiesta.
The hardware change, that's true.
Yeah. I've that's actually been one of the more common uses for Flex for me recently. Was to swap those over, because that's where my local shops are getting them from, is the used ones, because the new ones from eBay or whatever are all junk. And they'll get them where you get the cluster codes and all that stuff, and that'll swap it over pretty easily. So that's been handy.
Yeah, no, it's I'm telling you, man, that all around, I think if somebody wants to say, screw it, I want to get into this, I want the best tool possible. I've used K-Tag. I haven't used Kess 3, but I'm fairly confident that they're going to be extremely similar. And Flex. I used DimSport not too long ago. That one's actually I haven't used it enough to say I have an opinion on it, but for the few minutes I spent playing with it, I kind of liked it actually. Transdata.
I was just going to ask you about Transdata. I've seen it. I don't know a whole lot about it.
Yeah, I've used it once. I actually like the interface. The layout seems good. Price is little bit more affordable. I just don't know if it does transmissions. See, that was the seller for me was the transmissions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those BMW ones. I mean, there's other ways around it, but again, we're talking about time versus use for practicality, and I don't know so far if I had like an open wallet for cloning, I think I'd start with Flex. I think that would be my number one tool. One that gets a really good runner up for me would be VF2. Okay. It's such a niche tool though. It's like that's
for the Hyundais, right?
Yeah, Hyundai Kia tool basically. I mean, it does a lot more obviously, but that's its bread and butter, and it's like I've been okay without it.
Yeah. Do you guys have emissions testing in Chicago? Okay. That's we don't have it here. And so like in the rare case where I might need a VIN changed on one of those, like I'll send it to one of you guys, but I haven't yet, and I don't see it.
I mean, I've been able to do them all. It's just, again, how easy do you want it? Like if you don't have VF2, it's especially the older. They're not even that old. Those, I think they're Denso or Delphi.
Okay.
Or Denso. Okay. I don't fucking remember. It's that piece of shit ass computer I hate.
How about some entry level tools? I mean, we're talking about the big guns here, but like the AR-32.
Okay. So AR-32 isn't well received by a lot of people because when I use it, I feel like I'm playing Oregon Trail. I'm just waiting for the little cart to come out, and then Jenny died of dysentery type of shit, and you get eaten by wolves or some other dumb shit.
Sure, yeah.
Because it's in DOS, so it's kind of just command prompts. But there's a funny story with that, right? I bought AR-32 the same time I bought my IM when I got the 400, the 600. I mean, for the lifetime update one. So This is like 2018, I think, early 2018, and I've only like really used it last year.
Okay.
Because I hated the interface. Like I hated the fact that I had to like figure out where I was gonna find an express card adapter for my CF. I hated that I couldn't even like, man, it just sucked. And then once I got it going, I'm like, bro, what the hell am I doing here? Like it just didn't fit. It didn't flow right with me. It wasn't pretty. Like I didn't catch an interest. No. But when Mike started, showing how powerful that tool is to this day. Okay. Because I'll be honest with you, man, a lot of people ask me for EEPROM tips, man, but I don't really like doing board work too much. Like I was always, again, I never had time to practice it until now.
Mm-hmm.
But I always found it a little bit intimidating, nervous, and at the shop, I gotta go. So I just never wanted to do it. So by far, it is the best in-circuit reader you will ever buy, hands down. I mean, I'm telling anybody, if you want to get into EEPROM, you have no excuse to buy one. Matter of fact, if you guys want to buy AR and are concerned about which laptop to use, hit me up. I built an AR station for my new desk at the house, and I went through a lot of shit because I couldn't find the PCI card, which I did find later. I couldn't find one, and I was trying to get my laptop to work, so I researched a docking station from Dell. I found a stupid docking station that I was told fit my new laptop, and I actually called John from AR Labs, and he was really helpful. He actually pretty much told me what was going on or what he suspected. So basically, my machine isn't on the list of compatibilities, but somebody told me it fit. So It did fit. It actually fit, and everything worked except for the serial port.
Okay.
So I found older Dell pretty cheap, busted up ugly, and I was like, you know what, man? It's worth it. I got it for $40 off of eBay. I popped it in, and boom, she works. Fired right
Nice.
Yeah, so it's still a Windows. It's a Windows 7 machine. It's 32-bit, so you can run it on the on the actual OS, or you can do a bootable drive like I did. I just did a bootable drive.
Yeah, that's the way I did it too, is just on a thumb drive. And then if it's plugged into my CF19, it'll boot up that way. And if it's not, then it goes normal.
Yeah, so if you guys don't want to buy like a ancient CF, or you want something a little bit faster, a little bit better, or whatever, just hit me up. I'll walk you through what I did.
Sweet.
But hands down, man, like that tool it's phenomenal how powerful it is. Another tool that me and Pedro ended up buying on his research was people that make SMOK. You ever heard of SMOK?
I've heard of it. I've never used it.
They made a programmer like an in-circuit reader too.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that little tool it's also been able to do everything I threw at it. Honestly, like it's Windows based. Like you can plug it into this one. You know, it doesn't require that much setup. There was only one problem. They stopped making it. me and Pedro bought the last ones.
Oh, damn.
But it's called MBE Prog. Follow LA Car Tech. Maybe, you know, it was a run or something. Maybe chip shortage. Maybe they'll bring it back. But the thing is, man, EEPROM readers aren't super popular in circuit because most people just yank them off and read them out of circuit, which, you know, realistically, it is the safest way. I mean, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I've used AR and I've used this MBE reader. Shit, man, on the 93 family chips, I've used Auto in circuit, and I've been successful. I think the biggest problem with Auto is you need to like pretty much be 100% accurate at which chip you're giving it. There's no way to adjust voltages; it does it for you, and I think that's their biggest issue. In my opinion, like I said, I'm no EEPROM master, but that's what I feel is their biggest issue. User error. It's not user friendly for EEPROM stuff at all. You kind of have to know a little bit going in.
I've had some issues there too, where I've had to work on some stuff, and then other things.
Yeah, it just doesn't. Mm-hmm.
I thought I was doing something wrong, beating my head against the wall, and then I tried another tool, and it works fine the first time.
Another little tool that's a must, man, is the TL866, man, the Mini Pro.
The little gray.
Yeah, the little
thing.
gray $60. Good Lord, that little fucking tool can do a lot. It's just a little cumbersome, but yeah, man, that little tool does a lot. I mean, it does a lot for $60. And then if you want the adapters and stuff, I think it's like closer to $100 for the tool.
Okay.
Something like that. So if you're getting into EEPROM, my opinion, these tools are hands down. Another tool that's really, really good and also good at reading MCUs, if you don't want to buy SMOK or Hexprog, is VVDI Prog.
Yeah, that was one of the first ones I got.
Mm-hmm. That's a great little tool, man. It's just not a good in-circuit EEPROM reader. It really isn't.
Yeah. And then you can expand off with the other VVDI stuff, the VVDI 2, and do quite a bit with those tools. And like you say, I think with a lot of that stuff, there's some extra work to do, maybe compared to some of the more expensive ones, but it works. It does what it says it will.
Yeah. But again, you know, VVDI, Auto, they all clone stuff from each other. If you guys want to get like the big boy tools, it would be like SMOK. Hexprog is actually the tool that VVDI Prog gets most of its stuff from what I was told.
Okay.
In terms of like a cheap cloner tool, and again, I had not a great experience with the tool when it first came out, but it's been through several updates. It's FC200 by CGDI. A lot of people swear by this tool. They say it's really, really good. It works really well. I can't speak on it. I just can tell you what I've heard from people who are, you know, I would say they're reputable. So that's also a tool. I think it's like $700 or $800 or something like that. The updates I think are a couple hundred a year.
Okay.
But hands down, man, if you want to get into module cloning and you got like a small budget, man, I think Hex is your best bet, man. And again, ACDP is a really solid bet, but it's going to cost you more to do all the stuff you want it to do. Like with Hex, this is it. If you can buy some modules, like some bench harnesses and stuff like that, but it's not like it's necessary. Mm-hmm. You know, the setup is good. The wires are I just like Hex a lot, man. I think it's such a great tool.
I'll check that one out. Yeah, I just haven't added that.
You don't need it, honestly. Like there is no reason for you to invest. You have You have such other, solutions that just work better that you already have invested in. But yeah, no, I like Hex a lot.
Okay. I'm just looking at my list here that I had. IO terminal. I've talked about that on the podcast before. And I think that again is an example of what is your market and what are you doing. And I do just a boatload of GM transmissions. And I use the GM software, the factory stuff, as much as possible because I like to get the warranty. But yeah, even then you run into scenarios where it doesn't work.
And then you run into this scenario, man. You get some of these like shitty ass remanufacturer companies. They run reman conductor plates. Conductor plates. Look at me, reman Techems, and they won't flash. They won't flash. So I bust out my IO and my harness, and boom, 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 I'm done. If I'm feeling nice, I'll update it. If not, then I'll run, because either which way, this thing's a piece of shit. It ain't gonna last too long.
Yeah, exactly. It's already gonna be. There's gonna be a torque converter shutter already on it.
Oh yeah, you already know.
But if you're GM specific, like that's a fantastic. I think that's a must-have tool if you're doing a bunch of GM programming.
Yeah. So like with IO, if I were to go back, I never used the BCM. I always end up just EEPROMing them for some odd reason.
For GM or Ford? For
GM.
Okay.
No. So now when I bought my setup, I bought full GM, and then I bought Ford BCM. I would say one of the best tools of an ROI in terms of time would be IO. And at the time, that body shop that I was telling you about, they have a contract with the city of Chicago Park District, and all they went through a rash of BCMs around that same time too. They were taking me an hour and some change between all the doing the getting keys together and doing all this stuff. I was in there for an hour and a half programming BCMs for them. With this bad boy, boom, 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 10 minutes, I'm in and out. I'll bench one, and I'll run the other one through OBD, and bam, I'm done. You're supposed to bench them both, but I've always done them OBD. If they don't calm, then I'll take them off. I'll have them take them off, and then I'll bench them. But that tool has been my best ROI tool in terms of time. In terms of money, I'm already in the green, of course. But it saved my butt so many times, because again, you show up to a shop and it's a used module, and sorry man, I can't do it. No man, it's $250, $300. I'll get it to work. Yep. Well, but then that also comes with caveats. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh no, you're good. I was just gonna say it saved me in a scenario where GM wouldn't work because their TechLine Connect is jacked, and just being able to complete a job and get the shop what they need, that's huge for me, rather than having to walk away and come back.
Just don't do what I did. Always go back with a scan tool and reset the adapters. I had one shifting horribly, and it was, the adaptive values were all still for the other transmission that was a piece of shit. Yep. And no man, with oh man, damn it, I lost my train of thought. That's what happens when you get old, guys. Don't get old. Yeah, what the hell was I saying? I had a good point to make, but now I forgot.
Yeah, sorry. We're just talking about the IO and the use trans and stuff.
So IO with the one thing to look out for IO, some of the module cloning for ECMs is not complete, so you guys have to be really careful with that. The other thing I was wanting to say, GM EPS, I don't know, man. I mean, I've used it once or twice. I've never really ran into it.
One time.
But I guess it's good to have. But definitely ECM, TCM, and Ford BCM. RFH hub saved my biscuits one time. I let the rolling code expire, and it was late. And I just said, screw it. I just cloned it. I just cloned it and shipped it.
Nice.
So yeah, no, it's definitely a neat little tool. It's definitely it's definitely worth the money. It's just one of those tools, man. It's like it really isn't expensive, right? But then once you start adding it up, it's just like, oh shit, man, this bastard it's kind of pricey. So make sure you research what sims you need, and sometimes the tool goes on sale too, so take advantage of the sales as well.
Yeah, that's an example where you kind of can separate it out and buy different parts, at a time, kind of like the ACDP, where you don't necessarily have to buy it all at once. And that's a good option for, people that are just getting into it too. Like, what am I doing the most of? GM, ECM, TCM. You get a lot done with just that package, and then you can add on something later if you want. But yeah, that Ford BCM, man, does that save some freaking time.
That's now the only problem that I run into is like getting bad reads from a corrupt or a bad module, a wet module, or I had one. What the hell happened to me? Oh no, not me, but Kevin was reporting on one, and I think this happened to me, man. But I was just like, "F you guys, you probably just misdiagnosed it." It was a BCM that he had an issue where the fault actually went over and moved over to the other BCM as well, and it was like one of those, like the turn signals and ops and stuff like that. So I forgot what he did to fix it, but I think he ended up virginizing it and then just flashing it.
Okay,
because that's the thing, right? It's like those BCMs, Ford does not like flashing them used. I've never been successful in doing one with IDS. I've never been successful. So if I have to do a used one, then yeah, I usually just with IDS, like if I don't have a read from the original, then I have to flash it. So I just usually like virginize it and then run.
Yeah, I had an Explorer, and that's probably one thing to say is it does not work on all of the BCMs. There's some, and I don't know if it's somebody said it was a different processor and a new one, but I had a Ford, was it an Edge or an Explorer, one of the SUVs, where it read the old one and it said it flashed the new one, but it was so jacked. Like you would have thought you had a bad module in there, and I had to go back in and just actually do it the IDS way, and then everything was fine. But
yeah, it means you got a bad read from the donor, from the original.
Okay.
Like it was probably like so. It's usually like my rule of thumb is this: what happened to it? Oh yeah, like this injector doesn't like a relay doesn't work. All right, cool. I'll take a read. Right, what happened to this one? Oh, it doesn't communicate because it got full of water. All right, that's a waste of time. So
gotcha.
I just go the right way.
Okay.
It also really helpful for parameter resets, man. Security relearns.
Yes. But just on the GM side of things too, for the engine control modules, I mean, you can do the rest of it with SPS, but getting around that security is that's faster to do it that way.
Shit,
than
man, not even
minutes.
that, man. The heater, the oxygen sensor heater values, the CKP,
cam crank, yeah,
all that stuff. Yeah, it's just such a great time saving tool, man.
But yeah, the GM modules, there's a few of those engine control modules where it won't read, and then because it can't write all of the calibrations, so you end up with a 600 code after you're done and have to finish it up with SPS. So that I think that's a good example of just so much of this where you're going to get into this, and like you say, it's kind of the Wild West. There's not necessarily a set of rules, and you're going to mess stuff up. You're going to run into things you're like, what do I do now? So it's a little bit, I think, just cumbersome to take on and jump into, because you're going to be up against all kinds of weird obstacles as you progress through it.
Yeah, it's definitely learning curves, man, that nobody for whatever, like nobody really wants to share or do the research and stuff, but it's really, to me it's a thrill of like, yeah, nobody can do it, the dealer can't do it, so I can do it. It's always a good thing to stand out from everybody, especially like if you're in an ultra competitive market like I am.
Yeah, find the hardest stuff to do and get good at that, and that's where you can set yourself up pretty well.
Oh yeah. And there was another tool that I was thinking about talking about. Man, I can't remember it right now.
So many goddamn tools.
Oh man. Yeah, just another thing too is just like starting off, man. Like, yeah, there's a bunch of cheap Chinese cloners that you can buy, and like I said, I've bought a bunch of them, and I still buy them here and there just to play around with them if they're cheap enough. But just know this, man: when you're starting out, like again, you may or may not have somebody who can help you. So that issue you run into is you don't know if you're doing something wrong or the tool is doing something wrong. You buy something like Flex or K-Tag or Kess or whatever, 9 times out of 10, it's not the tool, it's you. Of course, there's always exceptions, but that's the difference between buying like a quality programmer versus a Chinese clone.
Sure. Yeah, and if you're doing something for the first time, that's a tough call to make. Like, am I doing everything right? Do I have every single wire soldered on there correctly in the right spot? And, there's so many stupid mistakes that you can make along the way doing this stuff that'll prevent it just from reading or whatever. But I don't know, that's where the learning comes from, is working through that shit.
Yeah, man. It's fun. Like, it's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. It's challenging. It's a puzzle.
Challenging. Yeah, it's very challenging, very fun. But the reward for me is high, not even money-wise, but, I mean, all in all, it's a great experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, you don't do a lot of cloning, do you? Or you do it, or do you do it mainly for, like, I guess my question, I'm sorry, that's a stupid question. Do you do mail-in, like, cloning and stuff like that? Or the people mail you something, would you do it, or like, it's just for your customer base?
Yeah, I've done a handful of it for people that have reached out through the podcast, but it's not a regular thing. Most of it is done through the shops. Definitely not opposed to it. It's just, finding enough time to do it all. That's my problem.
Well, for me, it's been, and you can edit this out later if you don't want to hear my commercial. But for me, I got into selling modules, man.
Yeah.
I really felt like it was the next step for me is, now it's not just diag, and it's just like, it's evolution for me. For me, it's like I said, if it wasn't for my constant need to just better myself, I'd probably still be chucking used tires. But, I went from diag to electrical and to diag to programming keys to flashing modules to making keys to, to cloning modules, and I just decided to, I might just take a step further and just start selling them.
Sure.
I linked up, I helped some junkyards out some jams, and now they help me out with modules. Like, I get them from them, I look over them, I sell them. Shit, sometimes I sell them back to them. Because they just don't want to deal with the comebacks. One of my shops is probably one of my yards is probably one of the best ones in the nation in terms of, like, profitability and the sheer size. The guy just was like, man, just come get them all. I don't sell them. Like, I sell them, like, they get comebacks, and like, I don't have time for that, man. I'm trying to sell, like, money making items.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's awesome. How do you handle it when, somebody orders a module or buys a module from you? You program it up on the bench. Obviously, it depends on the vehicle. They get it into the car and, it doesn't start, or the immobilizer light's on, or whatever. What's your process there?
So I'm working on a solution for some of that, but for the most part, I've been able to do, like, I guess what I'm saying is it's going to be always a case-by-case basis, depending on the module. And I'll tell you flat out, like, listen, man, I can help you. I have lost some sales due to, like, them not having, like, a J device or whatever, but I'm working on something for that too. Like, I think I'm going to have, like, my own, like, little remote device that I can ship out with a module, and then,
okay.
You just give me a deposit, and then when you're done, ship it back. You get your money back, and I just, I'll port forward, and I'll finish the job for you. Obviously, I'm depending on how much work I got to put in, I'm going to charge you more. But at this point right now, it's totally dependent on the module. If it's like a E69 and stuff like that, it'll work 100%.
Mm-hmm.
As long as I get a good read from your module and everything's good, it'll work. I mean, I stand by my modules. I mean, I have a lot of customers out of state, and they can find modules and they'll still call me. And they have programming equipment themselves, but it's just probably some of these hard oddball ones or for whatever reason. But yeah, they always call me. Okay. So yeah, it's just case by case basis, man. I mean, for the most part, like for example, if they're the global A modules that they don't like being like programmed all too well, then I ask them for the old module. Okay. And if not, then I send them a virginized one, because some of those they don't like being put on the bench. Okay. They'll lose their VIN. A couple things happens to them. So I've just learned which modules I can get away with and which ones I can't. Sure. So that's pretty much it, man. I honestly haven't had any issues so far with. That's good. With my services, man. I again, like I said, man, my name is worth more than money, man. So I go above and beyond when I can, unless it's feasible. Like now, if you nuke my module, then sorry, bro, I can't help you. Right. I actually have one right now. So I did it for a shop, and then the module is mailed to a different state, sort of deal, and it doesn't start. But it didn't start before, and so I'm trying to work through these people and try to figure it out. And I'm just like, I wonder how often this happens. I like to see the finished product. I think is what I'm getting at. Like, I like to put it on the car. I did one today. That was a BMW too. I went to the shop. I was like, hey, let's slap this on there, fire it up, make sure we're good. All right, cool. Now I'll collect my money. I like that feeling. I feel like it makes me feel more confident, but I suppose it's probably just repetition, and you've done this module X amount of times. You know it's going to work. You're not concerned about it. So I mean, I'll be a little forward too, man. I actually I'm not FS1. Fuck it. I know it's not professional to name people's names, but I don't give a shit. That company sucks. So I've had customers like, man, you're a lot more than FS1, and I'll just tell them the truth. I'm like, yeah, I'm better than what you're gonna get. Is it the same module? Probably. I'm not gonna lie, but at least mine is gonna work. I guarantee mine's to work, and I'll be there for you. Now I do, in my invoices, I do specify that I am not responsible for misdiagnosis. Sure. And also one thing that I do have, I'll give you an example. Let's say, Sean, your shop, we're friends on Facebook, which is why I like Facebook for this. Yeah, man, shoot me a personal message. Hey, yeah, man, I need this E69 or whatever module. I'm like, hey, I got you, man. So then I know what I can do. Yeah, this is that module. The only way I can do that one is I need 100% clone. This is how much I charge. I need your module, but I will ship them. I will ship your module back, or if I need the core, I'll keep the core. Whatever I come up with at the time. So I go and I tell them, I don't. My warranty is X amount of time. I don't cover your misdiagnosis, and I don't cover, like, say for example, if you're replacing this for like a bad driver for whatever reason, you need to fix that first. So I do like my own little interrogation process. I talk to them. I help them out. I'll talk them out of it if I don't feel like they need one. Yeah, I've done that plenty of times. Because I do get a lot, especially the ones that make me feel sketchy is when they ask me for a PCM for a Toyota. Dude, yeah, I had one today. You sure? So no, it's an interesting business. I like it a lot. It's a lot of fun. I like helping people. Again, I'm not the cheapest one there, but I can get things done. Yeah, and I think right now with these last modules I bought, I think I'm at 1,000. Oh, damn. Yeah. Do you keep them all at the shop or? Yeah, at the shop. How do you organize all that? You got inventory set up? But I have a rough idea. At least for me right now, I have them all separate, so I kind of know what I have and I don't have. Okay. And if I don't have it, then I I deal with so many people that I can get one.
Got it.
I the only ones that I have trouble finding right now are like oddball modules, and I never really liked Ford, but ever since I started selling selling modules for Ford, I really hate Ford. Like, no matter how much, like, dude, you can have one module, and you can get it for like $50, and then you'll look up the next one, and it's $700, the same car. Like, the hell? Yeah, dude, it's just so weird.
Goofy.
Yeah, that's the one thing I do hate about Ford. But everything else, man, like, yeah, I helped the guy find one, but it was so expensive that it wasn't even worth me, because anytime you buy a module, man, like, there's always a risk. Like, I can go through them, I can look at them, but at the end of the day, I don't know if it has a bad processor. I don't know if it has this and it has that. And again, you have the diagnostic. Now you have an extra variable that you don't like, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then it has to be worth it for me. I have to buy it cheap enough to be able to make a good profit on it. If not, then it's just not worth it. Not just, like, hey, I found this guy has it here. Reach out to him. He'll talk to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done that too.
Gotcha. Oh, and yeah, there's a lid for every pot. There's a right customer for every shop out there. So sometimes it makes more sense to send them. Yeah, go deal with this guy. Yeah, I have a pile of these stupid Focus TCMs here that I'm trying to work through, and they've been really just kicking my butt, honestly, because I want to try to repair them, and they're
easy to repair, man. It's just opening those pieces of shit, man. No, it's fucking.
I got the opening down.
You got the opening down?
Yes, I can have one open in 5 minutes, and not damage it. I've done enough, but I'm having. Maybe I'll get one and show you after we're done talking, mm-hmm. But I'm having trouble with the soldering and making it a legit repair. So I don't know. I'm probably doing something wrong, but.
All right, we'll look at it. I mean, I haven't done one, but I've talked to people who are fixing them now, and
okay,
they're saying they have a pretty high success rate.
Yeah, well, so I have a whole bench set up. I got clutch motors and a range position sensor and all that stuff, and plugins, so I can plug it in and test it. And a lot of them are the clutch motor circuits. So it's just a matter of getting in there. But I have so many tranny shops that are just desperate for these things with stupid Focuses sitting around that aren't going anywhere. So.
Oh yeah. No, that's let me know. I got you.
Cool. Yeah, any other tools that we didn't cover? I'm trying to think of.
Man, I swear we had one, but it's not on the list. I just checked it right now. I know it was ACDP. I know we didn't talk too much about the CGDI stuff, but there's nothing special about them except for their price, and they're pretty user friendly. I like the tool.
Okay.
Anything made by CGDI. There's some new stuff on the market, but I don't like speaking on stuff I don't have.
Gotcha.
Or have used, or know somebody that has used them, and is a reputable source for me.
Okay.
So right now, I mean, I think those would be like the biggest heavy hitters in my opinion. And one of the things that I want to touch on is the time and the investment, man. It's not easy. It's a lot of fun, but to repeat myself, really understand your market. Really know what people have asked you to do, and farm it out. If there's nothing wrong with farming things out, farm it out. Make a markup. Just if somebody tells you, give me a week, tell the customers a couple weeks. You really don't lose anything, and you look like a hero. And then it gets to a point where you're gonna keep looking for stuff. You're gonna keep farming this work out. Then you'll get to a point where you'll want to do it yourself. And then you'll be able to see what you need. That'll be probably like my best advice to anybody out there that wants to, get into solutions.
Well, it's just like when you're starting tech in a shop. If you borrow a tool more than 2 or 3 times, okay, well, it's probably a good time to go buy that tool, right? So then if you're farming out 3-4 of these modules, okay, and now it makes sense for me to invest the time and the money into this thing. But yeah, if you're rarely doing it, it's probably not going to pay itself back to invest all of the effort and time into something like this.
Oh yeah, 100%. You'll get what you give, and you're gonna give a lot.
Yeah, many late nights spent dinking around with this stuff trying to figure it out.
Yep, that's the plan for me too. Plus working on some other stuff, so we'll see where it takes us.
Cool. Well, thanks for sharing all this with me and everybody else. Sure. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on for like the 25th time.
Oh yeah, it's 24. So no.
Wow, my fault.
All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. Big thank you to Tomi for sharing all that knowledge with us. Greatly appreciated. If you're interested in these tools, I'm going to try and include as many links in the show notes as possible. There are a lot of sources to buy some of these tools. Some of these are outside of the U.S. market if you're listening in the U.S. And so you might have to do some searching as far as purchasing these tools. But what I will do at the bare minimum is I will list in the show notes the tools we talked about. Okay, so they'll at least be written down. There may not be a link included to where to purchase it. You can do your own research there, but at least you have, okay, what did we talk about? What's out there? And then you can proceed from there based on the advice that was given. So also like to thank everybody for listening to the show. Always appreciate it. But with that all out of the way, let's get out there and start fixing the world one car at a time.